Good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome you to this new session of seminars of the Franco-British Chambers of Commerce. This morning the subject is e-commerce, new market entry in the face of Brexit, Covid-19 and other challenges. As you know, e-commerce has become and really developed, I think, during this COVID-19. We have got two speakers this morning, Dave Gad, CEO at Vertical Plus, and Jan Tertre, CEO at Soledis, who will tell us everything about e-commerce and how they can help us to accelerate our business. David, Jan.
Hello, I'm David Gad, Vertical Plus CEO. Jan, you're with us, aren't you?
Sorry?
Yeah, Jan's with us. Yeah, just checking.
Yes.
Yes.
Well. Yeah, no.
Right, so I think what we're going to do today is just show you a short presentation from both companies each. We think we have about 15-20 minutes each. Might be longer, might be shorter, who knows? But we'll carry on. I think I'll be going first, Jan, if that's okay.
Okay.
And then we can then have some time later for discussion and questions. So I'll just start with a brief presentation from me, and then we'll take it from there. So hopefully this will work well. Just got to press present. You see that okay? We're all good?
Can you all put you in mute, please, in order that David doesn't got any noise when he talks. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, just really then to present, we're a project which is called eChannel. My name is David Gad, I'm CEO of Vertical Plus. There's two partners. There's myself, our company, Vertical Plus, and Soledis. Vertical Plus is based in Plymouth, and Soledis are based in Van. I think Jan will present a little bit more about the Soledis side of things just shortly. So I'll be focusing mainly on what we've been doing in the UK. The project itself is a €500,000 project from the micro projects part of Interreg. It started in August 2019 and is due to finish in July 2021. We kind of had the idea initially around Brexit. Obviously it was forged well after the Brexit decision, and we felt that this would automatically increase the demand for knowledge, consultation, etc. about cross-border kind of e-commerce expertise. Myself, in Vertical Plus, we've been a company now for 10 years in e-commerce. We've got 28 members of staff. We have a turnover, about a retail turnover, about 25 million. We do a lot of e-commerce consultancy and work in a lot of different sectors across the UK. We like to think we're pretty much experts, as it were, at least in terms of trying to create growth. And we put the project together really to sort of enable and consult people about how best to create growth. And obviously the initiative within Interreg is largely about SME competitiveness, and especially within new markets. We focused on new markets rather than export, because export's a tricky area when it comes to sort of state funding. So what we focused on mainly is helping the SMEs in both countries to reach new markets, one of which of course could be or would be new markets abroad, and especially there in France. So I've nicked Jan's slide here. Jan, I apologise. I've nicked some of your work, but I thought it was so good to show both the teams based in both Van and Plymouth. There's us lot at the top there, and then Jan's team there at the bottom. I'm the guy lurking at the back there at the top, yeah. Is Jan on that picture? Oh yeah, Jan's lurking at the back on his picture as well. And then these areas here are the areas in the south of the UK and the north of France where we can take SMEs from, and that we all consult with. Our goals of the project were to enroll 12 SMEs for rapid growth in new markets. We were developing a simple data modeling to assist those companies, which I'll go into a little bit more in some detail in a minute. We're developing published consultancy modeling for high growth SME identification, and also there's a little bit of navigating and publishing on the experiences of Brexit. There we go. The timetable, it's quite tight. You know, it's only a 2-year project, and within these European projects, there's a lot of setting up. There's a lot of administrators to take on, but really it comes over 4 quarters. That's really recruit, plan, target the SMEs we want to work with, onboard the SMEs, get some early adopters in, develop our model of consultancy, finalize the recruitment of the SMEs, work on the impact, and then finally report and write up in terms of where we are. As I say, the targets were to work with 12 SMEs in the UK and 12 SMEs in France. The work packages were largely to do with trying to find the SMEs. The generalized areas are that we would take a long list of SMEs, so we'd do some research to find which SMEs we could work with that would have most impact from the project. We'd then shortlist those. We'd then conduct evaluations of SMEs to see which ones we'd want to sign up using our panel and our experts. We would then sort of go into a planning phase. We'd do some data modeling and then have some ideas post consultancy. We have quite a complex data model, which I've tried to put up here to kind of show. I think we ended up with something like about 48 different stages of the sign-up process, which it's quite a simple process, but it's nonetheless needed to be done so that we could ensure that we'd have a good impact, that we'd work with good SMEs, and that we were seen to be picking those that would have the best potential for new market growth. So, you know, I won't go in this in any detail. It's only 7:30, everyone will fall asleep. But there's a little bit here in terms of looking what the initial data travel was. We had a long list of, say, 120 different companies on our long list. We shortlisted those down to 30. We then initially recruited, I think, 3 or 4 from those, and then we continued marketing throughout the period, getting companies involved, putting them in the process, going through panels. And generally speaking, what would happen is that we would find a company, we would do an hour's evaluation of them, talking about their opportunities, where they could go, where they want to go to, how they might approach the market. We would then fill in a semi-structured questionnaire to complete an evaluation form of that company, sign them up, then start the consultancy, which is a range of things to do with, mainly to do with connecting to data and how they handle their e-commerce data, because e-commerce is largely about data and knowing how data works. We would then sort of provide them with a full report of what it is that they want, you know, of what we think that they want to do with their agreement, you know, what markets are they going to move into, which ones present the best opportunities, which ones work the best. And then we have a series of 3 follow-up meetings with them to sort of help see how they're going, push them along, make them do some work if they haven't done any work. And then, you know, some of them that are moving on at full pelt, we would then be able to provide further advice on data modeling. Those that haven't even started will be like, well, what are you doing? So there's 3 or 4 follow-up meetings, and then finally at the end we'll do a sort of impact assessment to see how they've gone. So that's the sign-up process. That's the end, but I'm sure this presentation will be shared after in a bit more detail. You can have a look at that detail, but it took us quite some time to do this. And I think Neil's with us. I want to sort of thank Neil for putting together this very complicated flow chart. So on the data model itself, just going to check the time, make sure I'm not running behind. We've got 4 parts of what's in the data model about what the things that we think would impact e-commerce growth. This is really from our time and experience of working B2C in Britain here with allowing our companies to grow. Just as a bit of background, what Vertical Plus does is it takes a commission off every of our e-commerce sales for our retail clients. So it's in our interest to make sure that our clients grow, that the sales are maximized. And so we spend an awful lot of time on R&D looking at what practices in e-commerce actually are successful and create growth. So we have a lot of ROI models within Vertical Plus in terms of looking at what works. And when we did the bid together, we felt that 4 main areas were important for SMEs in terms of e-commerce growth. That was the inventory, the quality of the inventory, the size of the inventory, the scope of the inventory, and the way in which inventory is reviewed and looked after by the company. So that's quite a big and important part of it. Then there was marketing opportunities, and these are really what's the data presenting, what's it saying to us in terms of what products are strong, what markets are strong, what advertising campaigns are working. And then it's just really being able to model those so that you can pretty much do the stuff that works and avoid doing the stuff that doesn't. And although that might sound quite straightforward, we've actually found that companies are pretty bad at that. And even from the very basic amount of modeling of knowing, for example, how effective a particular campaign has been, or knowing how many products are selling. They've got rough ideas, but actually, because e-commerce is all about data, getting these marketing opportunities right is important. And then we've got business growth. So there's a little bit of tracking your business growth. Where can you be? What can you afford to do? How much stock can you take on? How many staff can you enroll? And then finally, perhaps even more crucially than anything else, is the profit and cost side of things, because we have seen and met so many e-commerce businesses that have turned over a massive amount of sales and then found in the end that once all the slices of pie are being cut up on all the various commission levels, that the company hasn't actually made any money. So it's really just knowing what products, what margins you've got on your products, how much your costs are, and whether at the end of the day it's all worth it. And it is, of course, worth it, but being able to track your profit and costs is quite important. I won't spend too long, but I just got some screenshots here, because part of the project, what we developed was an online tool that companies could use to help track some of this stuff. So just moving forward here, I've anonymized obviously some of the data because it's from one of our clients, but here we have a screen showing, a base inventory size. There's an inventory quality, which will say how much of your inventory is really good. It's got stuff like the amount of stuff that's in stock, what price is it being sold at, whether has it been reviewed lately, when was it last uploaded. And so this is there's a lot of stuff behind this, but it kind of shows a tool for companies to use so that they are encouraged to review their inventory and the quality of their inventory. The second part of it is looking at marketing opportunities, and you can see here we've done some AI here to sort of help us identify what market opportunities are strong, which ones are good, which ones are potential opportunities, and then from that, companies can then help realize that these products are good and that they would therefore need review or more action or more marketing activity. The profit and cost modeling, it sort of enables us to look at on a per order basis, the amount of profit that you make per order once PayPal commissions have gone, or once eBay commissions have gone, or once you've worked out the margins or the cost of fulfillment. There's all sorts of costs that can be put into per order and per product sales, which are very useful for companies to drill down to, again, in terms of where they want to go next. And then finally, there's the growth modeling. As you can sort of see here, there's a range, there's quite a big and complicated table, but it kind of shows by month the total number of orders, green, red, and amber, as to whether those orders are going up and down in each of the different channels. And then you can click on that link and it gives you a bit more detail about what's actually going up and what's actually going down. So there's a bit of sort of ROI modeling there. Obviously, it's a lot to cover in one presentation. I won't cover a lot of it, but hopefully that'll give you a good idea of what the sort of thing that we've been developing here for the project. Just really going to finish off with just some quick project takeaways. Some of the things we found is that SMEs have been terrible at connecting to data, much worse than what we thought. Many people haven't actually connected to their data properly or even understand how to connect to data and then even what it means. And we spent a lot more time helping them to even just set up some data basics, let alone get into some of the more advanced stuff. Different SMEs have different needs and IT skills. Bigger companies, smaller companies, it didn't really seem to matter. They all seem to have this need for consultancy about data, about especially around e-commerce. Individual experiences, it didn't really, the generic modeling, we found it difficult because individual experiences have been so wide and varied to provide a cohesive thing for our 12 SMEs. We've learned a lot of lessons. We'll be publishing those in terms of what it is. I'm kind of saying that things were quite varied. COVID-19 had a substantial impact on the project. We were enjoying lots of trips to France and back to see Jan and setting the project up just before, way back there in 2019. Looking forward to a good project where we would work together with Jan a lot. And we have carried on to work together with Jan, but luckily the first 6 months of the project, we were able to put together our Anglo-French experiences and work together, which is quite positive. But at the end of the day, we have been working under Zoom conditions, and that's had a massive impact on, say, even things like traveling to SMEs. I think we would have done a lot more in terms of inter-channel working if we'd had the opportunity to be able to move backwards and forwards to France. And really, you know, that's pretty much how I want to finish off until after questions. So I'll just hand over to Jan now to just do his side of things. Stop sharing.
So if I have to put Jan in co-host with Jan, so I'm going to restore your co-host, David. That's done. And Jan, I'm looking for you. Okay. Jan, you're nominated normally as co-host, so you should be able to share your presentation, PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. Okay, let me read it like that. Check.
We haven't got no picture of you, Jan.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I have no problem. I'm just trying to. Let me try. I get 3 identical. It's okay. I get it. You get it?
Yes, we have it. Thanks.
Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. So that's more or less the same slide as Dave presented previously. So we met, in fact, in 2018, Dave, I don't remember exactly, or maybe the year before. Anyway, so what was interesting for us in this project was to share knowledge with Vertical Plus. Vertical Plus, Dave presented his company, which is viewed from our side more web marketing than technical, when Soledis, that I conduct since 2012. So 9 years. So this is more a technical company on e-commerce exclusively. 30 people. We are 30, and it's only a few people that we have on the picture. 30 people, mainly technical people, and a bit of marketing. So it was very interesting for us to share knowledge, practices, and so on, and run a project together with Vertical Plus, which is a bit the opposite side of the business. So Soledis, just a small presentation. We are 30 people, a bit less, around 2 million euro sales, exclusively e-commerce, and a lot of B2B e-commerce. B2B means that business to business on the e-commerce side, which is a bit complicated. That's why we are more driven by techniques than marketing. The project, the e-channel project, had the two goals. The first one was to start this famous platform that Dave presented previously. I will show a different view of this platform. And the second objective was to support the developments, the e-commerce development of 12 SMEs, 12 in UK, 12 in France. Initially, the idea was to help these companies to cross the channel, either south, either north, and work in Interreg philosophy. But the Brexit situation led to I would say open this target to I would say a wider target, meaning new markets. So the idea was to try to find new markets for these 12 SMEs on both sides. This famous DMCP for the beginning, so on our side, was more to collect data and try to organize this data in KPIs sorry, I was running something and so on. On our side, this is what was the result of this DMCV platform. So we had already a few things working on our B2B organization and B2B situation. So what was interesting that we could develop new profiles, new dashboards, new situations with the help of Vertical Plus in the modeling and so on. So I'll go quickly. I cannot go too much into details with as it is private figures and so on. But the idea, again, I just go back quickly. The idea was to take all the data we could retrieve from the customers, either pure e-commerce data, either traffic and so on from the different sources of data, traffic mainly from Google Analytics, but can be also point of sales data, the number of people entering into a shop, buying stuff, and what can we say about all that? And of course, also what Dave insisted on, situation of logistics, I mean, stocks, inventory, and so on. So that was the first phase of the project. So the idea was to share the experience of Dave and his teams, which are much more marketing than our side, which is more technical. Again, Vertical Plus was more B2C and we were more B2B. So it was very interesting for us to share this experience in this project. Again, I show you again this kind of dashboards we could create with additional data from the DMCP. The second phase of the project was to support 12 SMEs. You have the list at the bottom of the slide. France is a bit administrative, so we wanted to be very light in the partnership we wanted to create with the SMEs. The recruitment of the SME, the onboarding was made a lot, to be very frank, with the Bretagne Commerce International that maybe some people know on your side. Bretagne Commerce International is the international CCI on Brittany side. I would say 1/3, maybe not half, but 1/3 at least of the SMEs were discussed and supported with the Bretagne Commerce National. And the idea was to two things in this partnership. The idea was first to be sure that they had the opportunity to develop on new markets. New markets was very clearly defined. They were working on, they were not digitalized at all, first situation. Second solution, they were digitalized and developing on B2C markets, and they were willing to go on B2B markets. So that was the second market. The third one was they wanted to go abroad. I would say to be to stick to the Interreg philosophy. Abroad meaning, of course, English-speaking countries with the help and support of Vertical Plus, of course, the UK, but why not other countries in Europe or worldwide? And of course, with the COVID-19, the Joint Secretary of the Interreg allowed us to include companies who had to, I would say, completely transform their philosophy, their product line, their catalogs, their marketing due to the COVID-19 situation. So once the new market was defined, I would say that the left side of the slide, we were asking clearly to these SMEs an investment, of course, not money, but time. I would say in e-commerce and digital business, the main issue is time to get time from these SMEs to be able to talk about their product, to promote their product, to promote marketing and so on. So we were then we validated this the situation, and we were also we wanted to make sure that these people were ready to have a big boost of their activity. You can see a figure of 20 to 40% of sales increase, 20 to 40% increase of sales. It depended on the companies. One of the company, yes, G Plus, were completely changed during the COVID-19. It was the first one we supported. Completely changed its market from I would say a very hotel and so on market to a completely COVID-19 market, and they were asking us to stop supporting the development because they could not follow the increase of sales. So we supported the companies in two steps. The first one was a strategic, what we call the strategic audit. What was the opportunity in terms of web visibility and business? So we did 15 strategic audits and action plans. So where are you? Where can you go? And what has to be done? I would say every week, every day, every month. And then we, on these 15, 3 of them could not go ahead, lack of people were resigning or whatever. And 12 of them remained with us, and we could supported the increase of sales, increase of visibility. So we have a small example of the increase of sales. I don't know which one it was, bottom at the left-hand side of the slide. Basically, we had 3 cases on the support of the SMEs. SMEs completely reconfigured, I would say, due to the COVID situation. People without any digital visibility, completely refurbished, redesigned to e-commerce situation. New markets, basically B2B, mainly B2B, to be honest. It's the main thing. And another part which was the market, export market, sorry, including UK. The Brexit was really an issue for us. To be very clear, we had absolutely no support from the institution when we presented the e-channel project, which was initially designed, again, just repeat, to support the sales between France, I would say north of France and south of UK. We had absolutely no support from the institution, and to be very clear, from the CCIs with the Brexit situation. They said, okay, Brexit, we do not see anything. We don't know, so just forget about any support from outside. However, we could see that we have still a few companies ready to go to UK whenever we have the opportunity to do something. So it's still not very clear. It's sometimes easier to go to Germany, for example, or Spain or Italy rather than UK, but they're not ready to forget completely UK. One of the things that was interesting also for us is that this led to us to, we could see that at the end of the day, there is something to do around the experience, which is about to be finished within a few months in July. So we will start, I would say, packaged services, so nodal vision for what is data retrieving, data presentation, and so on, with a specific, I would say, website for that, and another one for the SME services, which we'll call the nodal start. Nodal is all our activity around web marketing. And we will launch these services with a kind of pre-package. So we should be launching that in the coming weeks. I don't know exactly, but in fact, what was done with this Interreg project will be an industrial package. So at the end of the day, that was very interesting to work with Vertical Plus for us, to see, I would say, the opposite, not exactly, but a complementary side of the business, B2C rather than B2B, more driven by marketing with a commission-based sales rather than our model. I agree with Dave. We would have been very happy to go to UK much more often and having a team sharing and so on, which is always very interesting for the people and the culture of the company. But things like that with COVID. The Interact team was very supportive for us, and the DMCP was clearly, we have a demand, a permanent demand on what was called the DMCP. People are happy, and so on. And the EU stamp was really a support, and for us, this last sentence about the fact that the EU stamp on the services, I would say, showed us that we have to, we are still in France, sorry, but France is administrative, they like funds, free stuff, and so on. So we will, this famous nodal start, for example, that we presented, we are trying to demonstrate with the CCIs in France, at least the local CCIs in Brittany, that a bit of funding on this small service can do a lot for companies. We found companies, for example, if I show you, Deti or Elliptica are very, I would say, high-tech companies, but in terms of web visibility, it was completely zero. It was absolutely a nightmare. So a free service led to a real added value and a real growth. Thank you very much.
David, would you like to say something?
Unmute. There we go. Well, yeah. Thanks for that, Jan. It was very interesting. And I think one of the things I would add to what Jan was saying was that they had a tremendous demand for Soledis services during COVID. It led everyone stuck at home, needing to suddenly think about e-commerce. It did have such a big impact. And I think one of the things that Jan perhaps alluded to was that I think, Jan, you had a massive queue of companies to pick from, didn't you?
Yeah.
They kind of went from disinterest to you're the hottest property around almost, within 3 months, of COVID. So it was obviously we're very much a project of its time, I guess.
Is there any questions on the floor? I saw that Nadine asked what was the DMCP, and Sarah said data management control platform. She replied.
Catherine, if I can, got a question for Jan. Jan, thank you both for the really interesting presentations. It's quite interesting what you said about how the CCI all ran for cover when Brexit came and said, don't talk about cross-channel anything. And you've said that you feel that there is still a number of organizations who are interested in UK to France or France to UK, but I think I wrote down what you said, when we're ready to do something. What are those things you think that need to be in place?
To be clear, I was talking about the support of the CCIs was, in fact, we started in 2019. So from July 2019, up to, I would say, beginning of 2021, to be clear. The Brexit was up, down, hard Brexit, no Brexit, election, and so on. So with this type of project needs months, or if not years, to develop. So the CCI has had no visibility. So they said, okay, forget about any support from outside. That's it. But when we launched a small questionnaire with these SMEs. Are you still interested in UK business? They said, yes, we are interested. However, today, it's still not clear on our side. We didn't ask Bretagne Commerce National, which is the international CCI in France, in Brittany at least. How do they feel about supporting actions and so on the UK investigations and so on? Today, I have no clear answer to you. What is sure is that the customs seems to be clear now, custom situation. Taxes and so on seems to be clear, at least in the last few months, if not weeks. So it seems that the picture is clear now. However, we are at the end of the project, I would say, of this Interact project. So it's part, I think, Sarah, maybe it isn't part of the final question we were supposed to deal on the project. What can we do? What is the next step? Can we push again UK in terms of export target for our SMEs or the SMEs, by the way? I don't know. So I'm sorry, I have no clear picture. What is sure is that, at least in France, they listen a lot, at least for the people who are first-time exporter or giving ideas. The CCIs are a clear entry point. So maybe try to give you an answer. Call the CCI, push to make sure that the situation is clear in their mind with the UK for export from France.
I think maybe I should apologize, Jan, because I'm asking you to solve a question that politicians and across 28 countries haven't been able to solve. So I was just interested in your perspective.
Yeah.
If I can ask both yourself and David another question. What's interesting is clearly you've done a huge amount of work over the last 2.5 years to educate SMEs on how to use data to understand their markets better and to operate better. What's the legacy? What are the products that, so you've spoken about Nodal Start and Nodal Vision. I'm just wondering for a new SME or for someone looking at e-commerce, what are the tools that are now available as a result of this project that they could approach either Vertical Plus or Soledis for?
Yeah, we'll be publishing a number of lessons learned, consultancy models, explanations of the data control platform. The data control platform itself will be around for a while. It's actually we only actually set it up to support the 12 SMEs that were part of the project rather than making it on general release. But I've no doubt that as we move towards the end of the project, we'll consider how to make it available to a wider audience. But it's not really, it wasn't part of that project, at least, to do that. But obviously, as a commercial company in the UK, if we can get traction behind it, we might try and release that. So we hope, obviously, we don't want to just turn it off. I can't remember how long we said we'd leave it up for. I think we have a period of time. We have to leave it up for the SMEs as part of the bid. But we do want to try and make it generally available on a kind of free to use or easy to access kind of service, as it were. I think the legacy is our 12 SMEs and what they're working with and how they're growing. We're very good at growing these companies, so there's that legacy there. And then, of course, all the other SMEs around them. I mean, the only thing I would add to the previous question you asked Jan about Brexit was that we certainly found on the UK side, it won't come as any surprise to anyone, that there was a huge interest in working across the channel and obviously exporting to Europe, importing from Europe, etc. But the difficulty was the uncertainty, right up to the end of December. So there was a little bit like, we don't want to invest, we don't want to invest, even despite the fact that e-commerce was the best way of doing it. The uncertainty of not knowing what was coming up and how it was going to work. kind of led to opportunities, but also led to problems. So we did have several companies at the beginning of the project said they want to be involved, actually didn't want to be involved until they could get more clarity on what was actually happening with Brexit. So it's not so much Brexit itself, it's the uncertainty of Brexit that's caused the issues and the problems. And of course, even now, you could say we're still in a period of uncertainty. We have clarity, but there's still uncertainty about how to proceed with VAT, and then there's these new changes coming in July as well with the new e-commerce stuff that the EU are doing. So, you know, I think we're still continuing in a period of uncertainty. And I think what we found really is that what businesses want is to think that there's going to be a stable political environment in which to do business, whether that's in or out of the EU. That's probably more important than it is actually being in or out, is actually knowing the rules of engagement, I suppose. But that's my
Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions? I can read on the chat that Ian Jeffries would like to connect with you on David on LinkedIn.
yeah.
And they send you a request. Sarah, David, would you like to add something to what just has been said?
No, I'm good for a minute unless there's any other questions. I think we covered most of it. That was
So what it would be nice, David, once you have got finalized, to have maybe the report, and we could promote it, or at least give the results of this initiative, which is, I think, I hope anyway, a very the insight very instructive for our members this morning.
yeah. I think a lot of our findings will be published over the next 6 months on our e-channel website. You know, we have an area in there which is resources and files, so we'll be disseminating a lot of stuff, findings on that. But yeah, we'd also value being able to distribute things to the members, to various parties, in terms of what we've learned, and if we do expend access out to the DMCP to others, then we'd love to be able to get involved with people on that.
Do not forget to use our channel to communicate. We're delighted to do it, because I'm sure it will help a lot of people, a lot of small companies anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything else? I think we can close the session this morning. Thank you to everyone for being there very early, because do not forget, in London, in Britain, it was 7:30 when we started.
Yeah, I'll go back to sleep. Huh?
So you all deserve a cup of coffee, I think, now. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. And I wish you, or I hope you have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.